All right, and we're live.
All right, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today on Animal Encounters, and we are live here out of the Nature Center, and we are open, like we've been saying throughout the last couple months. We are open with limited hours. Today we are open until noon, and then tomorrow we're open most of the day except for over the lunch hour. And today, as you notice, like I said, we are inside, but we will be talking a little bit about turtles. So get your turtle questions ready, because hopefully I'll be able to answer them for you today. We have two different kinds of turtles that I want to touch on a little bit. The first one that we'll talk about is the ornate box turtle. She is pretty special. She's peeing right now, which is pretty cool. She usually does when I'm handling her for some reason. But so she is a female, and we know this because with ornate box turtles especially, they have, you can tell the sex of the turtle by the color of the eye. So her eye, if you can see it, is kind of like a yellowish color around the outside. The center of it's black. Both the male and the female, the pupil of their eye will be black, but then the outside is what is different. So her eye on the outside is yellow, and if it was a male, it would be red. That's not true with all turtles. Not all turtles you can figure out if they're male or female. That way they all kind of have different... I
flipped the camera around so they saw my face for a second. I was like, ah!
different ways that they can tell between a male and a female. And by the way, too, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Michael, and I'm a naturalist here with Buchanan County Conservation, and Bailey is behind the camera for me today. So she'll be reading the questions that come through that you guys might have. But anyways, back to the box turtle. Sorry about that. It is a female. Another way that you can tell that it's a female is by looking at the bottom of her shell. So it's flat. The males would have that red eye, and then they would also have a bump in the center of their shell. All right, hold on here. I'm going to put my mask on because we've got some visitors coming into the Nature Center. So I'll talk a little bit louder. All right, so with the ornate box turtle, they are a land-dwelling turtle. If you look at her, she has a very tall shell. It's not very narrow. It's not very streamlined for going into water. So she is a land turtle. We tried putting her up here in this new display, which if you guys haven't been up to Fontana to check out the new turtle enclosure, definitely make a trip up here. It's a hands-in type of touch tank that you can touch the turtles. But so she spends most of her time in sandy prairies is the type of habitat that she would be in. So a prairie is a space with tall grasses, and then it would also be very sandy on the bottom. It's sandy, so then they can dig in it. They can dig these tunnels that are up to 2 to 3 feet deep underneath of the ground. So they can burrow underneath the ground and stay safe in there. And they also hibernate in the wintertime, just like the other turtles that we'll be talking about here in a minute. But she would bury herself underneath of the ground in order to hibernate. The things that she would eat are things that, are on the ground in a prairie. So insects, bugs, spiders, maybe wild strawberries if they have them, different kinds of fruits, all different kinds of things they would really eat. They're an omnivore, so they'll eat all different kinds of things. They are threatened in the state of Iowa, so their population is in decline. So that means that we're getting fewer and fewer of them. But if we think about it, it just kind of makes sense. I mean, if you walk around, especially Buchanan County, there's not as many prairies as there once was back a long time ago, back before settlement of the European settlement. Another kind of cool thing that I just like to point out with the ornate box turtle is the coloration on their shell. They have a really great camouflage pattern when they're walking in the sandy prairies. I mean, you think about it just for a second. These prairie grasses are, I'm measuring off of the ground of the tank, but they can be upwards of 5-6 feet tall. Sandy prairies, they might be a little bit shorter, more like 4 foot. But they would be really, really hard to spot in a prairie. So they have great camouflage. every single pattern of an ornate box turtle is different, just like snowflakes, right? So they say there's no two snowflakes that are the same. There's no two ornate box turtles that have the same shell. And that's actually how they can, sometimes they will, when they track them, they can just track them by the pattern on their shell, which is pretty cool. Another really neat adaptation for box turtles, they're called a box turtle for a reason. So they can pull themselves completely inside of their shell, and then they can close this part of their shell up to here. And they can take this part of their shell and close it up to here. So then they're like a little box. So they don't get eaten as easily like by our friendly, maybe not so friendly raccoon. So they have a lot of really neat adaptations. Are there any questions about the box turtles right now? Okay, cool. So we'll put her down for now. We're trying her up here. This is the first time she's been up here. We're a little worried that she might come down into the water. Box turtles can't really swim very well, so that's why we're a little concerned about her being up here. So we'll see how she does for a little bit. So this is the other turtle that we have. This is the painted turtle, and they're really, really common in Iowa. We have one turtle that's threatened in the state, and this turtle is super, super common throughout the state. If you go to pretty much any waterway, you know, any creek, river, pond, you more than likely would find a painted turtle. Painted turtles, they can get pretty big. This one's medium size. Their shell can get to be up to about 10 inches long, and I'd say this one's probably about 6 maybe. Why they call it a painted turtle is because if we flip him over, the bottom of its shell kind of almost looks like an artist took a paintbrush and painted the bottom of its shell. So as you can see, it's wet. He's very wet. Painted turtles really like to be in the water. That's kind of their safe space. They really like that habitat much more than like the box turtle. She likes to spend most of the time on the land. But the painted turtle, he spends most of his time in the water. If you look at his shell is much more streamlined for swimming through the water. Whereas when we looked at the box turtle, it was much taller, a little bit bigger and bulkier. It really wouldn't, the box turtle just yawned. I've never seen a turtle yawn before. But the box turtle just yawned, that was pretty cool. But their shell is much more streamlined, much easier to swim through the water with. And also, the painted turtle has webbed feet. So if we were to put out our hands like this, if we had webbed hands, we would have skin growing in between our fingers. But of course we don't. But box turtles are like us. They don't have webbing in between their fingers or their toes. But painted turtles do. I don't know if he's probably not going to want me to mess with his feet. You can kind of see it a little bit. So that helps them be much better swimmers. They do also have this tail. It's quite a bit bigger than the box turtle's tail because they use it as like a rudder, like you would on a boat. So it kind of helps them to steer around when they're maneuvering in the water. So the kinds of things that he would like to eat is fish, frogs, maybe crawdads, worms, insects, maybe fruits if he can get them. Sometimes we give them fruit here. So they eat all different kinds of things. They're omnivores as well. All turtles don't have teeth. They have a beak, which you can kind of see it a little bit on him. But if we grab the box turtle, I think her beak is a little bit more pronounced. You can see it a little bit better on her. So all turtles have beaks, they don't have teeth. Alright, so I think we will, this is always fun, you ready? We'll watch the painted turtle. He's like, get me to the water. Maybe not.
This one, he doesn't do it as easily as the other ones do.
Usually when you put him up there, they'll go like running down towards the water, but he doesn't think so. So today we're going to give him a little bit of worms and crickets maybe. Oh, there he goes. He's on the move. Oh. So the nice thing about the new turtle tank is the tank is a lot bigger, and there's also viewing windows around the sides where you can actually see the turtles from underneath of the water while they're swimming. Get it. Ooh. You got that one. Box turtle's like, I just want to get out of here. Yeah, turtles. There are 3 turtles in here, but they're all kind of hiding right now. You guys see the worm squiggling around in his mouth? The other turtles mustn't be too hungry yet. Have any other questions come in, Bailey?
Nope.
All right. Well, guys, I hope that you guys can make it out to Fontana sometime soon. And if you see me, just ask if you can help feed the turtles, and I'd be more than happy to let you help me feed the turtles because they're always fun to watch. So everybody have a great day, and we will see you next week.
Bye, guys.